I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once, never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years when I was doing.
As you can see from the headline in Entertainment Weekly, the son of the original Snow White filmmaker is engaged in the planned remake. There's no respect for what Disney did. He's 100% correct. These people are absolutely disrespectful to the legacy of Walt Disney. He even says, "I think Walt and my father would be turning in their graves." David Havens said, "Yeah, and you know what woke feminists would be having to say about this? Oh, who cares what this old-ass dude says?" This is from 85 years ago. This man is clearly a misogynist who hates women. Isn't that how this goes? That's how this always goes with this crap. If you talk, it's going to come back. There's something called cause and effect. We don't just sit around and say, yeah, we grew up watching this movie called Snow White in all these other countries, and all of a sudden you show up, and we have to eliminate all the memories of these young girls who grew up wanting to have an experience like that, and you're the almighty. And this guy. That started a company many years before you did who's given you a job you want to trash that legacy. We're delving into the latest drama surrounding the Disney Snow White remake and the unexpected fallout from the trailer. You'll learn how Rachel Zegler's comments about the original movie sparked outrage, as well as how the director is now pointing fingers at the lead actress. We'll break down everything from Ziggler's controversial remarks to the creative changes that have upset fans to the behind-the-scenes clash between her and co-star Gal Gadot, plus we uncover why. Some people think that this movie is already bound to fail at the box office. If you want to stay up to speed on the newest developments about this Hollywood movie controversy and all the behind-the-scenes drama, be sure to press the like and subscribe buttons.
Get what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I know. That makes no sense to me.
But so what,
you're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward.
Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office. They are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea. Maybe not destroy a classic from my childhood and put an actress in there that not only hates the plot and the storyline of the movie she's in, but also seemingly hates Snow White, the character herself.
We grew up watching this movie called Snow White in all these other countries, and all of a sudden you show up and we have to eliminate all the memories of these young girls who grew up wanting to have an experience like that?
The live-action Snow White remake is at the center of an intense controversy, and this time it's not just fans who are upset. David Hand, the son of the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs director, has unleashed a fierce critique of Disney's reimagined version, which many now see as shaping up to be a Hollywood scandal. At 91 years old, Hand didn't mince words, calling the remake insulting and accusing Disney of disrespecting both his father's legacy and Walt Disney's original vision. And scathing remarks have drawn widespread attention, with many Disney traditionalists echoing his concerns. For Hand, the most egregious aspect of the new version is how it abandons the heart of the original 1937 animated film, particularly the iconic love story between Snow White and the prince. According to him, Disney's decision to erase or downplay the romance in favor of a more independent, self-sufficient female lead is a profound misstep. He views this as a betrayal, not just of his father's work, but of the values and storytelling principles that once defined Disney as a studio. The controversy only deepened after recent comments by Rachel Zegler, the actress portraying Snow White in the remake, surfaced. Zegler has been criticized for her dismissive tone toward the original film, specifically her remarks about the prince's role and the nature of the romance. She suggested that the love story was outdated and no longer relevant for modern audiences, sparking an outcry from Disney fans who hold the classic film in high regard. Her comments, combined with Hand's public denouncement, have ignited a firestorm of criticism, with many accusing Disney of taking too many liberties in their attempt to modernize the beloved fairy tale. Fans of the original film are increasingly voicing their frustration, questioning whether this new take on Snow White is pushing the boundaries of reimagination too far. Social media platforms have become battlegrounds for debates on whether Disney is sacrificing its legacy in favor of modern, politically correct narratives. For many, the issue is not just about the film itself, but what it represents: a departure from the values that made Disney films timeless and universally beloved. Many loyal fans feel that Disney is straying too far from the magic that defined its golden age of animation. The original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was not just a movie, it was a groundbreaking achievement in cinema, being the first ever full-length animated feature. It captured the hearts of millions with its enchanting love story, whimsical characters, and groundbreaking animation. By choosing to reinterpret this classic in such a radical way, fans fear that Disney is erasing the very elements that made Snow White an enduring classic. Adding fuel to the fire is the growing call for a boycott of the remake ahead of its scheduled 2024 release. Many fans, outraged by Zegler's comments and hands-sharp critique, have taken to social media to express their dissatisfaction. Hashtags calling for a boycott have gained traction, with some longtime Disney followers vowing not to watch the film. For these fans, the issue runs deeper than just this one movie. They see it as part of a larger trend where Disney is seen as altering beloved classics to cater to modern sensibilities, often at the expense of the original storytelling. Critics of the remake argue that Disney's recent trend of updating their classic animated films to reflect modern values often comes at the cost of the heart and soul of the original stories. In the case of Snow White, the removal or minimization of the romantic storyline is viewed as an unnecessary and misguided attempt to modernize a fairy tale that, for many, doesn't need modernizing. The timeless appeal of Snow White lies in its simplicity, a story of love, friendship, and overcoming adversity. By replacing these core elements with new themes, some argue that Disney risks alienating its longtime fans. As the film's release date approaches, it remains to be seen how Disney will navigate the growing backlash. Will they address the concerns of traditionalists like David Hand, or will they continue to push forward with their vision of a more independent, empowered Snow White? Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain: this remake has already become one of the most polarizing projects in Disney's recent history, sparking debates about the future of fairy tale storytelling and what it means to stay true to a classic. Debate rages on. Many are left wondering if Disney is sacrificing its cherished legacy in an attempt to cater to contemporary trends, with H's comments stoking the flames of what has become a highly charged public controversy. It's already one of the most hated movie trailers in history, with over 1 million dislikes in less than 2 weeks, and look, this movie already had a lot of backlash. Before the trailer for Disney's live-action Snow White remake was even released, controversy was already brewing. Early photos gave fans a glimpse of what appeared to be the 7 dwarfs, but they weren't quite the same as the beloved characters from the 1937 animated classic. Instead, these figures were labeled as 7 magical creatures or something similar, igniting confusion and disappointment. Fans immediately questioned Disney's creative choices, fearing the studio was straying too far from the essence of the original film. When the trailer finally dropped, Disney appeared to have addressed some of these concerns. The characters now more closely resembled the iconic dwarfs from the original, but a new issue arose: the dwarfs were completely CGI. Rather than casting real actors to portray these characters, the studio opted for fully computer-generated versions. This decision angered many, with critics pointing out that it not only stripped away the authenticity of the characters but also missed an opportunity to employ real actors, particularly actors with dwarfism. The controversy reached a boiling point when David Hand, the son of the original Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs director, publicly condemned Disney's choice to replace the dwarfs with CGI magical creatures. Hand called the decision a mockery of his father's groundbreaking work, emphasizing how it gutted the heart of the original film. In a blunt statement, he said, "They've gutted it." Hand expressed his deep disappointment, adding that both his father and Walt Disney would be turning in their graves over what he perceives as the studio's attempt to push a woke agenda. Hand's scathing critique has resonated with many Disney traditionalists, further fueling the growing debate about whether the studio has gone too far in its efforts to modernize its classic tales. For many fans, the 7 dwarfs were not just side characters but integral to the charm and success of the original Snow White. Their removal or transformation into CGI magical creatures feels like a betrayal of the film's legacy and the artistry that went into the original animation. But Disney's decision to alter the dwarfs wasn't made in isolation. It followed public criticism from actor Peter Dinklage, who voiced concerns about how dwarfism was portrayed in the 1937 film. Dinklage's critique was meant to spark a discussion about the representation of people with dwarfism in media, challenging outdated stereotypes. While Dinklage's comments were aimed at fostering positive change, Disney's response replacing the dwarfs with CGI creatures ended up causing even more backlash. Instead of revisiting and improving the representation of the dwarfs, Disney opted to eliminate them entirely in favor of magical beings, which many feel missed the point of Dinklage's critique. The backlash has come not only from fans of the original film, but also from members of the dwarfism community. WWE star and actor Dylan Postle, also known as Hornswoggle, was particularly vocal in his criticism of Disney's decision. Postle argued that by removing the dwarfs roles, Disney had actually taken away important acting opportunities for people with dwarfism. He emphasized that rather than offering better representation, Disney had effectively erased it. Fans are now left questioning Disney's intentions. Is the studio truly committed to modernizing its stories in a meaningful way, or is it simply trying to appeal to contemporary sensibilities without fully considering the consequences? Some argue that Disney's recent trend of altering its classic films to reflect modern values is eroding the timeless appeal of these stories. Instead of enhancing the narrative, they believe the changes dilute the magic that made films like Snow White enduring classics. On the other hand, some fans appreciate Disney's efforts to evolve with the times, but even they acknowledge that this particular change feels like an overreach. The seven dwarfs are not just side characters, they are integral to the plot and charm of Snow White. By turning them into CGI creatures, Disney risks alienating both fans of the original and the very community it claims to represent. As Disney continues to face backlash, the future of the Snow White remake hangs in the balance. With its 2024 release fast approaching, it remains to be seen whether Disney will address these concerns or stay the course with its vision. Regardless, this controversy has ignited a broader conversation about the studio's legacy, its approach to storytelling, and its place in a rapidly changing entertainment landscape. Will Disney's quest to modernize its films ultimately strengthen or weaken its timeless brand? Only time will tell, but for now, the Snow White remake stands as a battleground in the ongoing struggle over the future of Disney's legacy. Questioning whether Disney's attempt at modernization is doing more harm than good, further alienating audiences who feel the studio is trying too hard to appease critics at the expense of staying true to the original film. I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White. That is, she's not going to be saved by the prince. Rachel Zegler, who stars as the lead in Disney's upcoming Snow White live-action remake, has found herself embroiled in controversy, and it seems to be getting worse by the day. The drama initially began when Ziggler made a series of comments about the original 1937 animated classic that struck a nerve with die-hard Disney fans. While promoting the remake, she called the original Snow White creepy and described the character of the prince as stalkerish, an accusation that was not taken lightly by those who have cherished the film for decades. In her promotional interviews, Ziggler emphasized how the new Snow White would not be saved by the prince or spend her time dreaming of true love. Instead, this modernized version of the character would focus on becoming the leader she knows she can be. While these remarks were intended to showcase the film's progressive updates, they sparked immediate backlash. Longtime Disney loyalists were particularly upset by what they viewed as a disrespectful dismissal of a beloved classic, one that had been an integral part of their childhoods and Disney's iconic legacy. As the outrage grew, Ziggler issued an apology, insisting that she had never meant to sound ungrateful for the opportunity to play such an iconic role. She expressed regret for any offense her comments may have caused and reassured fans that she was genuinely honored to be part of such a historic project. However, the timing of her apology coming after weeks of growing criticism led many to doubt her sincerity. Some fans and critics argued that the apology felt more like a calculated move by her PR team, a bid to stem the negative publicity and protect the film's box office prospects. Ziggler's abrupt change in tone from outspoken critique to a seemingly humble apology left many questioning whether she truly regretted her remarks or was simply trying to contain the damage. With rumors swirling that Disney is increasingly concerned about the film's potential box office performance, many fans have accused Ziggler of trying to save face rather than showing authentic remorse. The apology, in their view, came off as a desperate attempt to placate outraged audiences rather than a heartfelt expression of regret. In fact, some fans are now calling for a boycott of the movie, further complicating Disney's marketing efforts. But the drama surrounding Snow White goes beyond Ziggler's controversial comments. Tensions between Ziggler and her co-star, Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, have also spilled over into the public eye, turning what should have been a smooth promotional tour into a full-blown PR nightmare. The two actresses, who initially appeared excited to work together, have reportedly clashed over their vastly different political views. Ziggler has been vocal about her support for the Palestinian cause, while Gadot is a staunch supporter of Israel, her home country. Their political differences have not only created tension behind the scenes but have also become a major talking point online, with fans and social media users taking sides in the feud. What started as a personal clash has now overshadowed the film itself, igniting a social media firestorm. Fans have been vocal in their support of either Zegler or Gadot, with hashtags and discussions around the Israel-Palestine conflict dominating much of the conversation surrounding the film. The feud has further stoked calls for a boycott, with some fans arguing that the political tension between the stars is tarnishing the magic of the beloved story. This controversy couldn't have come at a worse time for Disney. As the studio scrambles to manage the fallout, many are speculating that the drama surrounding the Snow White remake is a symptom of a larger issue at play. Over the past several years, Disney has made significant efforts to modernize its classic stories, often reimagining beloved characters with a more progressive lens. While some applaud these efforts as necessary updates in a more inclusive world, others feel the studio is sacrificing its heritage and alienating longtime fans. For Snow White, the stakes couldn't be higher. The film, scheduled for release in 2024, was meant to be a fresh retelling of the timeless fairy tale, with an empowered Snow White at the center of the narrative. But with both fan backlash and internal drama between the stars, Disney now finds itself grappling with a major PR crisis. Industry insiders are beginning to wonder if the controversy surrounding the film will overshadow its release entirely, or if the studio will be able to recover in time to draw audiences back to theaters. At this point, Disney's Snow White remake has gone from a highly anticipated reimagining of a beloved classic to a flashpoint for public debate about modern storytelling, political tensions, and the role of nostalgia in film. Whether the movie will be able to rise above the controversy remains to be seen, but for now, Disney is in the midst of a full-blown PR disaster, and the future of its live-action remake hangs in the balance. Disaster as the personal views of its leading ladies are detracting from the film itself, turning the project into a political battleground. The growing tension between Ziggler and Ziggler has led to escalating calls for a boycott of Snow White. Many fans are primarily targeting Ziggler for her outspoken political stance, with some audiences flatly refusing to support a movie. Wherever she stars, the scandal has sparked grave doubts about the movie's chances of success, since off-screen turmoil has dominated news more than the movie's real substance. Political division and a growingly antagonistic internet movement are now obstructing Disney's chance to revive a cherished classic, threatening to ruin the movie before it ever opens. Fans of the movie theaters are not only discussing the plot, they are also questioning whether they even want to support the actors who portrayed it. Therefore, what do you think? Is Rachel Zegler's apology sincere or just a publicity stunt? What about the creative changes made to Snow White B? Is this a step forward or a disaster waiting to happen? Additionally, with tensions between Ziggler and Gadot escalating, can the film survive all of this controversy, or is it doomed from the start at the box office? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Press the bell for further updates on this Hollywood film controversy and all related news. You won't want to miss what's happening next.